G'day, it's Mick Barrett here from Wine Wisdom Made Easy. Today we're going to look at the 3 keys to wine appreciation. And at Wine Wisdom Made Easy, we're all about helping you to make the most out of every sip of wine, every glass of wine, and also helping make the most out of every dollar you spend on wine. So it's all about saving money, but also getting the most out of it and learning all about wine and how that can make a better experience for you as a wine consumer and someone who enjoys and loves wine. So let's get into it. Before I started studying winemaking, I didn't really have much of an idea about what to make of particular wines, what to make of all the sensations, what to look for in a wine, what the things that I was smelling, what they meant, what even the names of those things that I was smelling were, and what the flavors and the textures and so forth that I was tasting. So during the wine education, during the wine making that I was doing at the university, we were studying, and every Friday we'd spend half a day just tasting wines. It was a tough job, I know, but everyone there had to do it. But during that, we were doing comparative tasting. We were comparing one wine against another and looking at the differences and the similarities and so forth. And we were also hearing about, well, what is that flavor and where does that come from and what causes that and all that sorts of things. But the other thing is we were listening to the other people in the room who were also tasting the same things and hearing their perspectives on the same things. So it was almost like a book club where everyone experiences the same material. In this case it was wine, but everyone had a different view, a different opinion, and got something different out of it. So the combination of those 3 things, I think, were absolutely instrumental in developing my wine appreciation. So those 3 things being comparing 2 different wines against each other at the minimum, even more if you can. Learning about, well, what is the names of those flavors and what are they caused by and what does that mean? And also the 3rd thing is just hearing the views of other people. So there I think that the 3 keys to wine appreciation. And when I was studying this at university, after a little while, I suddenly had a moment where it all came together. Everything clicked. I understood what everything meant with it, with all the flavors and textures and everything. But also my senses were heightened. I could smell things from a long way away. I could smell perfume from across the other side of the street sometimes. So there was all these amazing things. It was like a whole world that opened up to me. And I want to share that with you through Wine Wisdom, which is a website. It's an online resource, but also a Facebook community where we talk about all these things and hopefully bring you along on the journey and make the very most of your wine experiences. So next question is, how can you actually do this in the everyday setting? How can you make the most of these 3 keys to wine appreciation: comparative tasting, hearing about other people's opinions, but also understanding understanding what's going on with those wines? Well, you could run a wine tasting with friends. You could just ask people when you're having dinner and you're open to sharing a bottle of wine with somebody. You say, what do you think? What do you smell here? And then just get those people's feedback in there. You can read about the wine that you're tasting, or watch videos about, like you're doing right now, about wine. But it's really important to do it while you're tasting it. So that's one thing I'm going to do with Wine Wisdom, is to do a lot of tastings and information at the same time, so you can get the most out of that. Another thing you could do is you could buy 2 very similar wines. If you go to the bottle shop and you want to try some, you've got maybe a couple of people that you can share them with. You can open 2 very, very similar wines but slightly different, like maybe different years, but everything else exactly the same. And just have 2 glasses in front of you and taste them at the same time and taste those differences. That's a really good way to compare. And it could be something else besides different years. It could be there could be different varieties from the same winery, from the same year, but different varieties. And you can taste the difference between a Cabernet and a Shiraz, for example. And so there's just some ways that you can do that. If you want to learn more about these sorts of things, everything to do with wine wisdom, as particularly for an Australian consumer, Australian wine, New Zealand wine, the majority of what we find in the Australian bottle shops and restaurants and so forth and online stores, that's what Wine Wisdom Made Easy is all about, and I want you to get the very most out of it. So I would really encourage you to go to winewisdom.com.au and you can download your free guide to buying wine that I've developed specially for consumers of wine in Australia, and it helps you when you go into the bottle shop, or if you're buying some wine at a restaurant or online, you can just use that guide, and it's a very simple 2-page PDF you can have on your phone or on your tablet, or you can print it out and take it into the bottle shop and use it as a decision tree. It basically helps you decide, right, I want to get this kind of variety and I want to have it from this region and I want to get it from this year, because that's the best value for money that you can get, and the best wine you can get from those sort of purchases. So go to winewisdom.com.au and you can get your free download for that, and we'll get you started on your wine journey. So thanks very much for watching. I'm Mick Barrett from Wine Wisdom Made Easy, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.